Om Ajnanathimirantasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhultale Swayam Rupa Kadamahayam Tadadi Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shriyotapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Gana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्री वासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। नमां विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिन् इति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Welcome devotees to the morning Bhagavatam discussion. So today we are reading from the third canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, third canto, first chapter, verse number 45, which is also the last verse of this chapter. So let me share my screen. I'll read the verse, the synonyms, translation, and the purport, and then we'll briefly discuss it. तस्य प्रपन्नाखिललोकपानाम् अवस्थितानामनुशासने स्वे अर्थाय जातस्य यदुष्वजस्य वार्तां सखे कीर्तयतीर्थकीर्ते। Once again. तस्य प्रपन्नाखिललोकपानाम् अवस्थितानामनुशासने स्वे अर्थाय जातस्य यदुष्वजस्य वार्तां सखे कीर्तयतीर्थकीर्ते. Synonyms or the word-to-word meanings. Tasya, his, prapanna, surrendered, akhila loka panam, all rulers of the entire universe, avasthitanam, situated in, anushasane, under the control of, sway, own self, arthaya, for the interest of, jatasya, of the born, yadushu, in the family of the yadus, ajasya, of the unborn, vartam, topics, sakhe, O my friend, kirtaya, please narrate, tirtha kirte, of the Lord, whose glories are chanted in the places of pilgrimage. Translation by His Divine Grace, His Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. O my friend, please therefore chant the glories of the Lord, who is meant to be glorified in the places of pilgrimage. He is unborn, and yet he appears by his causeless mercy upon the surrendered rulers of all parts of the universe. Only for their interest did he appear in the family of his unalloyed devotees, the Yadus. So I'll read the purport now. There are innumerable rulers all over the universe in different varieties of planets. The sun god in the sun planet, the moon god in the moon planet, Indra in the heavenly planet, Vayu, Varuna, and those in the Brahmaloka planet, where Lord Brahma is living. All are obedient servants of the Lord. Whenever there is any trouble in the administration of the innumerable planets in different universes, the rulers pray for an appearance, and the Lord appears. The Bhagavatam 1.8.28 has already confirmed this in the following verse. Ete chamsha kala pumsa krishnastu bhagwan swayam indrari vyakulam lokam mridayanti yuge yuge. In every millennium, whenever there is any trouble for the obedient rulers, the Lord appears. He also appears for the sake of his pure, unalloyed devotees. The surrendered rulers and the pure devotees are always strictly under the control of the Lord, and they are never disobedient to the desires of the Lord. The Lord is therefore always attentive to them. The purpose of pilgrimages is to remember the Lord constantly, and therefore the Lord is known as Tirtha Kirti. The purpose of going to a place of pilgrimage is to get the chance to glorify the Lord. Even today, although times have changed, there are still pilgrimage sites in India. For example, in Mathura and Vrindavan, where we had a chance to stay, people are awake from early in the morning at 4 a.m. up until night time and are constantly engaged, some way or other, in chanting the holy glories of the Lord. The beauty of such a pilgrimage site is that automatically one remembers the holy glories of the Lord. His name, fame, quality, form, pastimes, and entourage are all identical to the Lord, and therefore chanting the glories of the Lord invokes the personal presence of the Lord. Anytime or anywhere pure devotees meet and chant the glories of the Lord is present without any doubt. It is said by the Lord himself that he always stays where his pure devotees chant his glories. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purport of the third canto, first chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Questions by Vidura. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadadi Swapadantikam. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. When will Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, who has established within this material world the mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Chaitanya, give me shelter under his lotus feet? So we will discuss this verse, and this is the last verse of this chapter. And because this is the last verse, this is also a conclusion and a summary of this chapter. And also it gives a hint or and is set the base for the next chapter. So here we see that this is in the context is that Vidura is asking Uddhava to glorify the Lord. He's inquiring from Uddhava. And one of the interesting thing is that he's addressing him as Sakhe, Vartam Sakhe Kirtaya Tirtha Kirte. So he's addressing Uddhava as Sakhe. And we know that Vidura is older. He's much elder to Uddhava. He is elder to the Pandavas. He's their uncle. He's elder to the Kauravas. He's the brother of Dhritarashtra. He's elder to Krishna, and therefore he's Arjuna, Krishna, and Uddhava. They are cousins, and therefore he's much elder to them. Yet he's addressing Uddhava as Sakhe. So that is a very interesting point, that in our material relationships, we do have someone elder and someone younger. But when two living entities or two people who are self-realized and who are at the transcendental platform, they can address each other. There is no age difference. There is no material age difference. And therefore, they can, like Vidura here, address Uddhava as Sakhe, as friend. Now, this discussion, I will divide it into two parts. The first one is the Kirtan, and the second part that's mentioned here, and Prabhupada also goes deeper, is about the pilgrimage. So for Kirtan here, Vidura is saying, "O my friend, please therefore chant the glories of the Lord who is meant to be glorified in the places of pilgrimage. He is unborn, and yet he appears by his causeless mercy upon the surrendered rulers of all parts of the universe. Only for their interest did he appear in the family of his unalloyed devotees, the Yadus." So generally, Kirtan means, when we talk about Kirtan, we have an idea about gathering in a group and singing with instruments, kartal and mridanga, harmonium, and that's the Kirtan. But the Kirtan that's mentioned, or that also includes, is the chanting of the glories or discussing the glories of the Lord, talking with the devotees, like-minded devotees, about the glorification, the pastimes, name, fame, pastimes of the Lord. And that is also Kirtan. In fact, when this processes of devotional services are mentioned, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, etc., there is a personified or glorified personality for each. And if we all know that the personality glorified for Kirtan is Shukadev Goswami. And what is he doing? He is glorifying the Lord, which is also Srimad Bhagavatam. And Krishna also talks about the topic of Kirtan and the glory, how the devotees glorify each other in Bhagavad Gita, the famous Chatushloki verse 10.9. Machchita madgata prana bodhayanti parasparam kathayantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted to my service, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me. So very clear. And again, in the or rather not again, but before, in the 9th chapter, verse number 14, he says, Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantascha dridavrataha namasyantascha mam bhaktya nitya yukta upasate. Always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me, these great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. So Kirtan, as we see, it's also discussing about the Lord, his pastimes, his name, fame, pastimes, and the scriptures are full of them. And because the Lord is unlimited, his pastimes, his glorifications, glories are also unlimited. And how do we access those pastimes and glories? Through the scriptures, like Srimad Bhagavatam. And the scriptures are also unlimited. We have access to the scriptures that we have, Srimad Bhagavatam primarily, but others also, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhagavad Gita, etc. In fact, like Prabhupada has given us scriptures or writings that is difficult for us to read in one lifetime. But even if one does, Prabhupada mentions in the first purport of Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.1 that one should also look and read the translations of other acharyas. And if we start going into our other acharyas, the scriptures are unlimited. And the pure devotees of the Lord, or our disciplic succession, or the acharyas, Srila Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, the six Goswamis, and so many others, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, they have written in unlimited verses are there, and unlimited writings are there. So we can go deeper and deeper as much as we can. And why go into the scriptures? Ultimately, what are we looking for? We are looking for taste. We are looking for rasa. We are looking for happiness. We are looking for these things in the material world, and there is some of it, but we also know that along with it comes with a price or a cost. And they are temporary. But once we start going into the transcendental rasas or pastimes or the discussions, the rasas are unlimited and they are permanent rather than temporary. So that's why the more deeper we go, the more the rasas increase. And through the discussion of the Lord, through the discussion of Krishna's pastimes from the scriptures. And I was thinking, Prabhupada is making many other interesting points here also, but I'll now switch to the next point, which is the pilgrimage. The purpose, he writes here, the purpose of pilgrimages is to remember the Lord constantly, and therefore the Lord is known as Tirtha Kirti. And also the purpose of going to a place of pilgrimage is to get the chance to glorify the Lord. And I was looking up on this topic, and I found one lecture by Prabhupada, and he's talking on the verse 1:15:46 given in Los Angeles. But the verse referenced in that lecture is 1:13:10, which also I will read. But first I'll quote what he said in his lecture. It's regarding the pilgrimage. Dure vari ayayam tirtham, and pilgrimage. It must be far away. Just like in Calcutta, there is Ganges. So nobody cares for Calcutta Ganges, but they'll go to Haridwar. The same Ganges. The Ganges is coming from Haridwar down to the Bay of Bengal, but people will like to go to Haridwar, taking so much hardship to take bath there, because that becomes Tirtha. Every religion, they have got Tirtha. The Muslims, they have got mosque. What is that? Mecca, Medina. The Christian, they have got where? Jerusalem. Similarly, the Hindus, then they must travel very long. That will be Tirtha. But actually, Tirtha means Tirthi Kurvanti Tirthani. Where there is saintly person, there is Tirtha. Not to go 10,000 miles and simply take a dip in the water and come back. So Prabhupada is very clear what a Tirtha is. And there is another quote or another part from a different lecture I found, which is from 1:8:47, also given in Los Angeles. Anywhere a saintly person is there, that is Tirtha. That is holy place. Not that I have to go to Haridwar, 5,000 miles from here. Wherever there is experienced holy persons, that is Tirtha. But they do not know. They go 500, 5,000 miles away. Sometimes from your country, they go to find out a guru in India. He laughs. And the guru who is conversing here, he is useless. He is useless. So these things, anyone who is of such conception of life, they have been described as asses and cows, means an animal. So the verse that he quoted was from Canto 1, chapter 13, verse number 10. And the verse is Bhavad Vidha Bhagavatas Tirtha Bhuta Swayam Vibho Tirthi Kurvanti Tirthani Swantasthena Gadabhrita. Translation: My Lord, devotees like your good self are verily holy places personified. Because you carry the personality of Godhead within your heart, you turn all places into places of pilgrimage. So the essence or the purport of all this is that the devotees carry the Lord within them, and especially of course the devotees have degrees, but the pure devotees specifically who have given their life for the Lord, for Krishna, they carry Krishna in their heart always, and therefore whatever they speak, whatever they do is also pure. And we know that in our material life, we are inflected with the four defects of being illusion, committing mistakes, etc. But what these pure devotees, what they say or what they write or what they discuss, when they discuss the pastimes, they are free of these four defects, and therefore they are also transcendental, like God or Krishna, Lord himself. That is the purport and the essence of Tirtha. People usually go to Tirtha or to different places as frivolous activity sometimes, or sometimes emotionally driven, sentimentally driven, or they go as a picnic thinking that yes, I have check mark, I've gone there and done it, I'll get some punya, some pious credits, so that it will help me, etc., etc. But the real purpose of Tirtha is mentioned here, which is to go seek out a saintly person, discuss the Lord's pastimes. And that's why when we go to these holy places, Tirtha, with a pure devotee, with like spiritual masters, it's a completely different experience. And that is actually what visiting a Tirtha is. So I will stop here and quickly summarize. So this is the last verse of this chapter, which also gives the conclusion and a summary of the whole chapter, which is Vidura is inquiring from Uddhava, and he's asking him to glorify Krishna's pastimes, which is also a hint, or it sets the base for the next chapter, the second chapter in the third canto. Then we discussed about Kirtan and the importance of Kirtan. Kirtan is not just, in general, people think Kirtan is singing, but it also, not also, but it also means discussing the pastimes of Krishna, the Lord, and deriving pleasure and rasa from it. And Krishna also mentions that himself in the Bhagavad Gita 10.9, Chaturshloki 10.9 and 9.14. Machita Madgata Prana and the Satatam Kirtayanto verse. Then we discussed about the pilgrimage, the importance of pilgrimage. And I quoted a couple of his lectures, Srila Prabhupada's lectures, that he's very clearly and strongly stating that Tirtha means to go to a place and associate with saintly people rather than go in a frivolous mood or as a picnic. So I'll stop here. I have a hard stop at 8 o'clock. A meeting is coming up. So I would open it up for discussion, or if anybody wants to add anything, their own realizations, etc.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila
Please
Prabhupada.
accept mine too. All glories to
Thank you,
Srila
Prabhuji.
Prabhupada.
Wonderful summarization of this. Your points about Kirtan and Tirtha were so nice. Particularly Kirtan in most languages, Kirti means actually fame, Prabhuji. So, it has multiple meanings. Kirti also means fame. So Kirtan can mean, like speaking about the glories of the Lord. However, whenever it comes into music, like classical Carnatic music, or like how we use in devotional also, Kirtan is also singing. So thank you for bringing out that point. And then, what you spoke about the tirthas, that's wonderful, Prabhuji. Thank you for bringing that. Correct.
Yeah, I didn't speak. I just quoted what Prabhupada spoke. So yes, thank you, Prabhu. Okay, so if there's nothing more, we can stop here. Lakshmikanta Prabhu.
Okay, Prabhu.
Thank you. Devotees, have a wonderful rest of your day. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya vacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.